Have you ever looked up from doom scrolling on your phone, only to find your dog staring intently at you from across the dimly lit room? It feels like you are the main character in their own private movie, and they are hanging on to your every single move. We often post these moments online, calling them stage 5 clingers, or joking about their absolute lack of boundaries in our daily lives. But that deep, unblinking gaze is not just a quirky trend, or a funny personality trait that you can simply laugh off. There is a profound, almost painful psychological reason behind why your dog simply cannot take their eyes off you. Society has conditioned us to believe a very simplistic, almost cartoonish narrative about the inner lives of our pets. Most people assume that a staring dog is simply a hungry dog, waiting patiently for a dropped piece of food, or signaling that it is time for their evening walk. Dog trainers in the past might have even told you it was a challenge of authority, a silent battle for dominance in the hierarchy of your household. We easily write off their intense focus as simple, transactional needs, stripping away the complex emotional lives they actually lead behind closed doors. But the truth hidden behind those soulful eyes is entirely different, and it absolutely shatters the comfortable myths we have built around them. To truly understand their unwavering gaze, you have to look at the world through the lens of a creature who has absolutely no control over their own destiny. Many dogs carry invisible emotional scars from past lives, holding on to the silent trauma of sudden abandonment or the subtle betrayal of a fractured family. Imagine trusting a home entirely, only for the dynamic to shift without warning, leaving you isolated in a loud shelter or handed off to complete strangers. That kind of profound heartbreak fundamentally rewires a brain, replacing innocent trust with a desperate, all-consuming need for predictability. When they stare at you, they are not just looking, they are actively studying the only anchor they have left in an incredibly chaotic universe. Consider the heartbreaking family drama that plays out in the lives of so many rescued animals. They remember the harsh sounds of arguments, the sight of suitcases being aggressively packed, and the terrifying finality of a front door slamming shut forever. They have witnessed the ultimate betrayal by the humans they loved, learning the hard way that love is not always a permanent condition. Because of this dark history, they view every shift in your mood as a potential warning sign of an impending disaster. Their intense observation is a defense mechanism, a way to ensure they are never caught off guard by a sudden goodbye ever again. Dogs are the ultimate, undisputed observers of human emotion, fluent in a complex physical language we do not even realize we are speaking. They memorize the specific rhythm of your breathing when you are completely relaxed, and the sudden, sharp shift in your posture when you are secretly stressed. They know the exact, distinct sound of your car keys jingling, and the difference between the shoes you wear to the office versus the shoes you wear to the park. This exhausting level of observation is not born out of mere boredom, but out of a deep-seated psychological need to anticipate what happens next. They are constantly mapping your daily patterns, desperately trying to find safety in the predictable routines of your life. If your dog insists on following you into every single room, even standing guard silently outside the bathroom door. If they suddenly wake up from a deep, peaceful sleep just because you slightly shifted your weight on the living room couch. If they map out the exact sound of your footsteps, analyzing the way you breathe before you even attempt to stand up. This behavior is a direct, unfiltered manifestation of their chaotic internal emotional landscape. The hidden truth is that this extreme hypervigilance is a trauma response wrapped in soft fur. They are constantly calculating the terrifying odds of abandonment, using their unwavering attention as a heavy shield against the pain of being left behind. Science tells us that when a dog and their human lock eyes, both brains release a massive surge of oxytocin, which is often called the love hormone. It is the exact same chemical bonding process that happens naturally between a mother and her newborn child. But for a dog that has experienced the bitter sting of losing a family, that oxytocin loop is deeply laced with a bittersweet desperation. They are essentially self-medicating their own anxiety, seeking a chemical reassurance that the fragile bond between you two is still intact. Every single time they catch your eye across the room, they are silently asking for confirmation that they are still safe and still deeply wanted. Think about the sheer, unimaginable terror of not understanding the basic human concept of time. When you leave the house for 10 minutes, or for 10 hours, your dog does not have a clock on the wall to comfort their racing mind. They only have the agonizing uncertainty of your prolonged absence, and the overwhelming full-body relief of your eventual return. This complete lack of temporal understanding magnifies their absolute need to monitor your presence when you are safely at home. They watch you intently because, in their mind, if they lose sight of you, you might cease to exist entirely in their fragile world. Here is the massive twist that completely changes everything you thought you knew about your loyal companion. We love to romanticize their constant attention, believing they are bravely standing watch to protect us from outside threats. We stroke our own human egos, thinking their gaze is a testament to our profound leadership, like they are fierce guardians keeping the monsters at bay. But the heartbreaking twist is, they are not protecting you from the dangerous outside world. They are protecting themselves from the devastating, soul-crushing possibility of losing you. They are not carefully watching the front door to keep the bad guys out of the house. They are watching you, making absolute sure that you do not become the one who walks out that door and never comes back. You are not just their owner, you are their literal lifeline in a reality that has proven to be incredibly unstable and cruel. They are not protecting your physical body, they are desperately protecting their own fragile, battered heart. You are the sole source of their daily food, their physical warmth, their fleeting moments of joy, and their entire, fragile sense of belonging. The horrific thought of losing the absolute center of their universe is a terror they simply cannot articulate with words, so they express it through unwavering vigilance. Their intense stare is an incredible vulnerability disguised as fierce loyalty, a silent, desperate plea for permanence. It is a plea for stability in a life that has repeatedly taught them that nothing is permanent, and everything can be taken away in a single second. It is a very heavy burden to be someone else's entire world, especially a creature that loves with such reckless, unfiltered abandon. When they sit across the room, heavily resting their chin on their paws, tracking your movements with those deep, expressive eyes. They are pouring every single ounce of their limited emotional energy into desperately trying to understand you. They notice immediately when your smile does not quite reach your eyes, and they deeply feel the heavy, dark energy you carry home after a brutal day at work. They silently absorb your complex emotional state, completely letting your unpredictable human feelings dictate their own internal sense of security. It forces us to acknowledge our immense power over their happiness and the heavy weight of being their sole provider of comfort. Building real trust with a dog who constantly watches you is an incredibly slow, painfully delicate process of proving your absolute reliability. It requires hundreds, maybe even thousands of quiet, mundane moments where you actively show them that your simple movements do not equal abandonment. When you abruptly stand up, and they immediately brace their body for a sudden departure, you have the unique power to rewrite their internal trauma script. A gentle, low word, a soft reassuring touch, or simply sitting back down on the chair, can slowly begin to dismantle their thick walls of anxiety. It is fundamentally about teaching them that constant, exhausting observation is no longer a strict requirement for their daily survival. In our modern, fast-paced world, we are constantly distracted by glowing screens, endless notifications, and the chaotic, overwhelming noise of daily life. We live in a lonely era of fleeting connections, casual ghosting, and incredibly superficial digital interactions. Yet, amidst all this isolating digital chaos, your watchful dog offers something radically grounding and deeply, painfully authentic. Their unbroken gaze actively forces you to be entirely present in the physical moment, violently pulling you away from the fake virtual world. They are quietly grounding you in a visceral, breathing reality, demanding that you show up for them emotionally and physically. Think about the profound, undeniable responsibility that comes with holding that kind of premium emotional real estate in another living being. Your dog does not care at all about your fancy job title, your growing bank account, or the embarrassing mistakes you made 5 years ago. They only care about the unwavering consistency of your kindness and the physical safety they deeply feel when resting in your shadow. Their intense, unblinking attention is a clear mirror, reflecting back the exact kind of person you are to them in their darkest moments. It challenges you every single day to be truly worthy of that level of unshakable faith. It pushes you to be the steady, completely reliable protagonist they desperately need you to be in their story. For a dog with a highly complicated, painful past, learning to simply close their eyes and sleep deeply while you are walking around the room is a monumental victory. It means their frayed nervous system has finally started to regulate, and they no longer feel the crushing need to be the designated watchman of your relationship. Every single time you catch them snoring softly on the living room rug, completely oblivious to your sudden movements, you are witnessing a miracle. You are watching the slow, beautiful healing of deep psychological wounds, right there in your own home. You have finally provided them with an environment safe enough that they can actually afford the rare luxury of letting their guard down completely. Let us delve even deeper into the very quiet moments that truly define this extraordinary interspecies relationship. Consider the late evenings when the house is totally quiet, the television is softly murmuring in the background, and your dog is curled up just a few feet away. Even with their eyes half closed, their ears constantly act like sensitive radar dishes, twitching at the very slight rustle of your clothing. This dual, exhausting state of relaxation and hyper-readiness is a fascinating testament to the long evolutionary journey of modern dogs. They are forever hovering anxiously between the wild survival instincts of their ancient ancestors and the soft, domesticated comfort of their modern indoor lives. They are caught in a perpetual, dizzying dance of desperately needing to belong and fiercely fearing the sudden loss of that vital belonging. As complex humans, we very often underestimate the profound psychological impact we have on the innocent animals we bring into our chaotic lives. We sometimes treat them like cute accessories or simple additions to our home aesthetic, conveniently forgetting that they are deeply sentient beings. They possess rich, incredibly vibrant internal worlds that are completely shaped by our daily actions and our fleeting moods. When we carelessly dismiss their staring as mere begging for a piece of bread, we do a terrible, unforgivable disservice to their high emotional intelligence. Acknowledging the actual depth of their silent gaze requires a level of empathy and emotional maturity that can sometimes be very uncomfortable for us to confront. Over the course of a single year, which is roughly 365 days, your dog will spend thousands of hours simply watching you exist. In the year 2024, behavioral researchers clearly observed that traumatized dogs spend significantly more time observing their owners than any other object. These statistics are not just cold numbers on a page, they represent a vast, immeasurable ocean of time dedicated entirely to the diligent study of you. It is a stunning level of devotion that easily outlasts the incredibly fleeting attention spans of our modern human relationships. It proves without a doubt that the bond between human and canine is built on a solid foundation of intense, beautifully sustained focus. Understanding this hidden psychology should profoundly and permanently change the way you interact with your dog on a daily basis. Instead of feeling immediately annoyed when they accidentally trip you up in the kitchen, recognize the deep vulnerability behind their clumsy actions. Instead of getting frustrated when they stare intensely while you try to eat your dinner, see the invisible emotional baggage they are carrying. They are bravely laying all their emotional cards on the table, showing you exactly how much their very survival relies on your continued presence. This important shift in human perspective turns every single shared glance into a golden opportunity to reinforce their fragile sense of security. It is your daily chance to prove, over and over again, that their immense trust in you is absolutely not misplaced. The long journey of rehabilitating a deeply anxious, intensely watchful dog is incredibly demanding on your soul, but it offers a profound reward. When you finally break through those massive walls of fear, the relationship transforms from one of anxious dependency to one of genuine partnership. The staring does not necessarily stop entirely, but the emotional quality of the intense gaze fundamentally changes for the better. It slowly shifts from a frantic, desperate searching for reassurance to a calm, deeply contented observation of their favorite person. They watch you not out of a crippling fear of loss, but out of a profound, incredibly settled joy in simply sharing the exact same breathing space. Ultimately, The lasting legacy of the bond you share with your dog is written beautifully in these countless, silent, everyday exchanges. It is built solidly in the quiet spaces between spoken words, in the deep understanding that naturally passes between two entirely different species. By actively choosing to honor their watchful gaze, by taking the time to understand the complex trauma that drives their behavior, you elevate the relationship. You elevate it far beyond mere, casual pet ownership, stepping into a much more important, sacred role in their short life. You become the fierce guardian of their emotional well-being, a deeply trusted confidant, and the undisputed, shining center of a beautiful love story. This profound, undeniable connection is exactly what makes the eventual heartbreak of losing them so physically devastating to endure. But it is also exactly what makes every single precious moment spent under their watchful, loving eyes so incredibly, deeply priceless. So, the very next time you feel those familiar, soulful eyes burning intensely into the side of your head, do not just blindly ignore them, and do not just toss them a meaningless, cheap treat to buy yourself some temporary peace and quiet. Turn away from your glowing screen, look past the distractions of the modern world, and meet their deep gaze with a very soft expression. Speak to them with genuine, vibrating warmth in your voice, letting them hear the complete safety they are desperately looking for. Call them over to you, wrap your arms securely around them, and give them the solid, physical reassurance they are silently begging for. Validate their entire existence, soothe their deeply hidden, lingering fears, and intentionally rewrite the tragic endings of their past lives. Remind them firmly that in this extremely complicated, often cruel world, they are finally safe. Show them that they have finally found their forever home, and they absolutely never have to worry about you disappearing into the night.